I've always been a unique person, you know what I mean? Sort of laid back in a way, but very adamant and very passionate about what I believe. I think a lot of times that sort of throws people off because they don't expect me to have the mindset or the process of thought that I do. And so when you come in to watch my channel, you may hear a myriad of thoughts and ideas that could be different from others. What I want you to do is just sit back, like, share, and subscribe. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you along the way, helping you to make it through another day. Yeah, everything you need to know that you never knew, that you need to know. Lockhart perspective. Yeah. Jamming on the one. The second time around, you the only one. You the only one. You the only one. Yeah. That I know you the one. We living in the word like I know the sun. You the only one. Yeah. You said it's mine for the taking. You blow my mind with this thing called love. You know every move I'm making. You know everything I'm thinking of. And I'm thinking of you all of the time. Oh, yeah. I can't ever get you out of my mind. You are the only one. You are the only one. You are the only one. Hey, yeah. You are the only one. It was always you from the start. It was always you all the time. I wrote you on my heart. I wrote you on my mind. And I'm thinking of you all of the time. Always. Say it. Oh, you are the only one. Only one. You are the only one. You are the only. You are the only one. You are the only one.
Lockhart. Hi, everybody. It's Felicia Lockhart, and this is the Lockhart Perspective. Happy Monday to everybody, and welcome to our podcast. I'm so glad to see. Let's see who we have here. We've got Mr. Leslie in the house, one of our members. I want to thank you so very much, kind sir, for being a member of the channel. Chantilly Lace, spelled with an S, used to be my favorite fragrance back in the day. Chantilly was started with a CH. Hello, Chantilly Lace. Soup and tired of this hogwash. Hello, beautiful people. Hello to you. Anarchy Television, it's always great to see you. Come on, read Unstoppable, part of the Unstoppable Nation, madam. How are you today? It's good to see you. We're very happy to have you among our viewers today. Rachel Van Ziel, another one of our super mods, as well as one of our members. I want to thank you so very much for being here as well. And Anarchy Television, I just love you. I'm so appreciative of you and everybody else here that's in the chat that's actually given to our mail bag. And I just want to thank you because you, as well as several others, especially Miss Van Zant, yeah, yeah. Had to do it. Had to have a reason to do it. Had to have an excuse to do it, but I did it. Whenever I can sneak that in, it's a good thing. So, what do you guys think about what's going on right now? So, let me tell you guys something. We talked about this the other day in a short order. We discussed this. What we talked about is how somebody will do something and make you think that it's your idea, or they will remove themselves out of the whole loop and make you think that whatever's happening has nothing to do with them. But in essence, it really did. So let's take a look. I want to show you guys something. I want to show you how stuff starts with one little bitty pebble. And the way that we're going to do this is we're going to look backwards, or it doesn't really even matter if we look backwards or forwards. I'm just going to show you each one of these stories. And then I want you to look at the dates, right? Because we got to start to put we got to connect these dots. We really got to connect these dots. We really do. So let's just get right into it. The first story that we're going to look at right now is how how the White House, let's see, should I start with the White House or Fauci? It doesn't really matter. It's all part and parcel of the same party. All right. So the White House said that they were not going to push the vaccine programs, right? Right. That's what they said. They said that. And, we have to believe our government. If we don't believe our government, then what do we have? We've got to believe them. We do. And I believe that our president, he's doing the best that he can. Our president is really trying. Our president is really doing a good job. We got to be proud of him. But here on March the 29th, 2021 at approximately 2:46, this story was done. And the links to all of the stuff that we're going to be discussing today is already prepared for you down below in the description. As well, down there in the description, there's also going to be a PayPal link. If you decide that you want to support this channel, please go right ahead and do so. And if you decide that you want to do Cash App, please go right ahead and do so. We appreciate anything you give. It could be 2 cents, could be $2. We don't mind whatever you give, big baby. But here's the story. White House says that it will not push vaccine passport programs. All right. Let's get into this. President Biden's administration will not push a national coronavirus vaccine passport program, instead deferring to the private sector to come up with ways for the public to prove that they have received their COVID-19 shots, keeping in mind that at this point, these were all done by an emergency authorization. Nothing was proven. Well, of course, now they're just going ahead pushing it through. But I want you to keep that in mind, that when this was done, that was the what was being touted, right? All right, so the Biden administration will not require a single vaccination credential from people hoping to return to work or travel, according to the White House press secretary, Jen. Is that Psaki or Psaki? I don't really like her. I think she's a little fuzzy, but I never really got her last name. It could be Psaki, could be Psk. I don't know what it is, but you know who we're talking about. On Monday, the federal government will not run or oversee a centralized universal immunization database. Well, of course they won't. Saying, quote, a determination or development of a vaccine passport, or whatever you want to call it, will be driven by the private sector, the young lady told the reporters. Ours will be more focused on guidelines that can be used on a basis, as a basis. So is it a basis for the flu? Is it a basis for, I don't know, spinal meningitis? Is it a basis for What is that? You get it with the liver if you drink too much. You know what I'm talking about. Hepatitis? Huh. Okay. All right. So no, but for this, yes, most assuredly. So wouldn't it stand a reason that we would have needed it across the board if that was the issue? I mean, if you really cared about me, why didn't you look into that? I mean, how many people pass away of those different things every year? Anyway, he added that guidance aimed at the increasing access. Okay, let me make sure y'all can see me because I'll be going in and then I'll be giving out some good stuff and y'all can't see me. Okay, so I'm making sure I'm on the right party. All right. So, okay, added that guidance aimed at increasing access is being drafted through the interagency process, but she could not provide a timeline as to when more information would be announced. The airline industry has been pushing for a federal vaccination credentialing system similar to those being trailed in the United Kingdom and Europe in an effort to streamline the process of proving a person has been inoculated. Advocates contend that it could help the struggling industry as the country's vaccinations rates climb, the states roll back their restrictions, and public seeks to return to normal life as if you gave it to us. Normal life, as if you extended it to us in the first place. Polling suggests vaccinations credentialing is popular among people who've gotten theirs, candy bars, though critics argue that it poses logistical and equity concerns. Democratic Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker last week, for example, voiced his support for an immunization app for venues or private events, as long as it's your choice. Yeah. So we're going to get into, is it your choice? So that was what the White House said, right? That's what they said the White House said. Yeah, that's what they said. So now let's look at this, because this is what I want to ask you. You remember this? Do you remember this? Little old Keebler. Hello, Keebler, baby. It's Keebler, baby, on April the 5th. So the first story was what month? Wasn't that March? You guys keep up with me. This is April 5th. Fauci, federal government won't require COVID vaccine passports. The federal government will not mandate the use of vaccine passports for travelers or businesses post-pandemic. President Biden's chief medical advisor, Dr. Anthony Fauci, told the Political Dispatch on that Monday. Who is calling me and why? And why aren't they watching the show? All right. It says why it matters. It matters because passports or showing proof of vaccination could speed up international travel reopenings. See, it's this for that. It's always quid pro quo with certain individuals. It says, but the idea of requiring immunizations credentials has become a point of contention, particularly among Republican officials. And they love to make this into something that is partisan, as opposed to it just being, I like my privacy, you like your privacy. And if I didn't get this thing, it's my business, right? Yeah, but now it's partisan. And that's what causes the issue, because everybody likes to go out and fight for their team. Right. All right. So it gives a bullet point here for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis banned the use of vaccine passports in his states on his state on Friday. Remember, this is April. And what are they saying? Quote, I doubt that federal government will be the main mover of the vaccine passport. That's what Fauci said. Well, that's because he's got intel, right? Yeah, that's what he means. They may be involved in making sure that things are done fairly and equitably, but I doubt that if the federal government is going to be leading that element. See how the words that are dropped there, because see what somebody would have said if you had this conversation that I'm about to have with you right now back in April, they would have said, no, he said they're not going to do it. No, that's not what he said. You have to listen to what the person says. They may be involved in making sure things are done fairly and equitably, but I doubt if the federal government is going to be the, quote, leading element of that. That's the part you needed to get out of that conversation. And if you were interviewing this cat, it would have been, okay, so what do you mean by leading element? What do you mean by that? The leading element. Is there an element that's leading at this time, Mr. Fauci? Do you know of any group or organization that's sort of leading this cause or leading this? Yeah, I make you really uncomfortable, right? Yeah. So Fauci noted that he believes that businesses or schools could
could require vaccine passports to enter their buildings. Yeah, it's not us. He says, I'm not saying that they should or that they would. I'm saying you could foresee how an independent entity might say, well, we can't be dealing with you unless we know you're vaccinated. But it's not going to be mandated from the federal government. They like to remove themselves from the argument. They got to remove themselves from the conversation. They have to make themselves the easy guy that's done absolutely nothing. This has to be the guy who's done nothing. And you got to see my hands are clean. Any rocks that went through your window were not thrown by me. No. Hey, did you check with the kid down the street? His name is Dennis. He's a real menace, and he probably threw that rock through your window, Mrs. Wilson. It wasn't me. Even though I'm standing here with a pocket full of rocks, that sort of favor the one that went through your living room window. It's not me. Could be Dennis down the street, the menace. So when we go on, it says the big picture, the EU unveiled its proposal for vaccine passports in March, which would allow their citizens who can certify that they have been, which would allow citizens who can certify that they've been vaccinated or recently tested negative for it, the candy bar, to cross the borders without quarantine requirements. Let me tell you guys something. If you ain't seeing what this is, I don't know what to say. Now, I want to look at this because we're easing on up, right? We're easing on up, or we could say we're moving on up to the east side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. Yeah, we're moving on up. So I guess if you have authority over someone, then you would be a person who would be able to say what somebody can and cannot do if you've got some form of authority over those individuals. So let's take a look at what type of authority I'm referencing. Well, it would appear that Delta will require new hires to be vaccinated against the virus. See, this is a private sector, right? Yeah. So it's not the government, of course not, even though the government has bailed this industry out a gazillion times, right? And the funds that go there come from our pockets, but nobody ever pays attention to how many times they've been bailed out and how many times that through those bailouts, they've been able to annihilate their competition by getting rid of whole airline companies. Now, I don't know whether you guys remember, but back in the day, wasn't there PSA? I think it was PSA. I mean, how many airlines do you remember that aren't around anymore? Same things with certain banks. They just all sort of, forget the laws that we have that says you cannot have a monopoly on something, and everybody just sort of envelops everybody. But in any case, I digress. Delta Airlines will require new employees to be vaccinated, against the COVID-19 starting on Monday. The airline won't impose the same requirement on current employees, more than 60% of whom are vaccinated, a Delta spokesperson said on Friday. Delta has about 74,000 employees. American, United, Southwest, and Alaska Airlines, however, said they do not plan to require vaccination for current employees or new hires. American Airlines said that it gives vaccinated employees an extra vacation day and a $50 gift card to recuperate. I said that. Delta's decision comes as the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says that fully vaccinated Americans can stop wearing those masks and just shed everything all around everybody else in most settings. But a federal rule imposed in January still requires passengers and crews on airlines and trains to cover their faces. Delta CEO Ed Baisden told the CNN folks he will encourage current employees to get vaccinated, but won't require it if there is some philosophical issue they have against getting the candy bar. However, he said unvaccinated employees probably won't be able to work on international flights because foreign governments are likely to require you to be blocked in and to prevent you from having your rights. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? I should really learn to stick to the doggone copy. Sometimes you just got to go back to the beginning and go back to your foundation. Let me get back to the copy. I'm not supposed to tell you what I'm thinking. I'm not supposed to think. So vaccination for anyone entering their countries. So what he says. So Delta, which operates a vaccination center at its flight museum in Atlanta, says the new policy is designed to protect other employees and passengers as travel recovers from last year's lows during the worst of the pandemic. Air travel has risen gradually since hitting a low point in April 2020, with the recovery gaining speed in recent weeks. On Thursday, the Transportation Security Administration screened 1.7 million people. That was the highest number of people at the U.S. airports since March of 2020, although it is still 33% below the figure for the comparable day of 2019. Let's take a moment. Let's do the math. So what do you think it means? It's not the federal government doing that. These are private sectors, and this is what they're doing for their employees. Certainly, whatever they decide to do for their employees, that's their choice. If you're coming and you're new, well, then we want you to make sure you've had this up. Don't worry about it. So now what have we got? Federal government ain't going to do it. That came out of the Biden administration. Fauci, the little fella, Keebler Elf, he says, oh, no, I doubt that that's going to happen. That doesn't mean that the private people won't do it, but I doubt that. No, the government ain't going to do that. Now you got Delta saying, if you work for us, coming in as a new employee, yeah, you're going to have it, or you're not going to be able to go international. So I guess that would be the time that you would want to just be maybe somebody who stays in the airport. I guess that's the time that you would want to be one of the individuals who only go domestic. Right? But what happens if you attempting to get a promotion, and that promotion, part of that is that you get to go overseas. You get to go to over international waters and into another country. So if that's the case, then you're not going to be able to get that, which opens a whole new case of violation of rights and a brand new addendum to all of that. Because see, right now, every right you thought you had is already done. You thought you had something, you went, yeah. So now we've already covered the fact that the government said they're not going to do it. Fauci said they're not going to do it. And the only people that this airline story that we're reading here as of the 14th, right? The only thing that they're going to be doing is requiring their employees to do it, right? I think not. Let's get on with this, because that ain't what's shaking. What's shaking is it goes from bad to worse. If you don't say something the first time, then it's going to get worse, because all they're doing is using a litmus test to figure out how much you're going to take. How much of this you're going to take? How much are you going to take before we tell you that Delta adds a customer health screening and mask acknowledgement required to check in? Now, this was last year. This was July 29th, 2020. But now do you see how it becomes full circle? It's not the government. Fauci didn't do it. Delta only wanted to handle for their employees, and they just said that just recently. So this little bitty deal, this little ditty, probably a lot of people knew about, but now do you see the whole pie? And there will be several pies exactly like this in different sectors. Ladies and gentlemen, this is that. Please make sure that you pay close attention to all of the information that is on the right of this plane and on the left of this plane. If you go to the very back, you will notice a book called Revelation. And in that book, there is survival tips. Please make sure that you hold that and read it and keep it close to you so that you can make yourself get better before you help anyone else. You won't be able to share any tangible information from the book of Ezekiel, the book of Isaiah, or any other book in the Old Testament unless you put these two together and realize that, ladies and gentlemen, for your safety, this is that. Tuck your head neatly into your kneecaps. As we begin to ascend and descend, you're going to need to make sure that you understand each and every one of the points so that you don't miss it. Delta customers will now be asked to certify their commitment to safe flying as a part of a change to the check-in process that will require them to acknowledge
One, they've not had COVID-19 diagnosis and to their knowledge have not been exposed to it in the last 14 days. Two, they've not experienced the onset of any of the primary symptoms of COVID-19 in the past 14 days. And three, they will wear a face mask covering throughout the airport and Delta Sky clubs and on board the aircraft, unless they meet the criteria for exemption. And it's very hard to meet those and exceed those, because even if you meet it, even if you beat it, even if you don't have to, you're going to find some Karen standing in your face about to get told off about how quick you need to get out your face. Okay. So these new health acknowledgments prompts during the customer check-in process act as an additional layer of protection for both employees and customers during the coronavirus pandemic. And it's the measure is the latest one that Delta efforts to ensure for a safe experience. Okay, so this was this then. I got something for you. I want you to see something now. Okay, so this right here was the consideration of it all. I'm laying the foundation for you to get this piece because you got to see this. So this was just laying down the foundation for the consideration of it all. They were just considering it. There was nothing really, this is what we did, and this was the consideration of it all. But I want to tell you that there's a little bit more. Here we go. Hope everybody is doing good. And let's get it. All right, so the airline considers requiring proof of vaccination to fly. Now, this was December 31st of 2020. So let's just see what this nice young lady has to say here.
Founder of Scott's Cheap Flights. Scott, welcome to the show. You have so many fans at Cheddar.
Can you guys hear that? Let me double check it. Can you hear that?
Let's dive in. Traveling to certain places in the world already requires proof of certain immunizations. So there is somewhat of a precedent for this idea. It's not completely out of left field. Do you think, however, it's likely that an immunity passport will be required in the near future in our post-pandemic world?
Yeah, it's a great question, and thank you for the compliment. Happy New Year's to you, Hannah. I think what is on the horizon here is once folks start to be able to get their vaccination, that it's widespreadly available, I think you're going to see many more nations requiring the passports rather than airlines. And the reason why is, you mentioned the yellow card passport, that a number of countries require you to show, for instance, that you've been vaccinated against yellow fever or cholera, diseases like that. Those are national requirements. And I think you're going to see something similar with COVID-19, where the nation is the one that's requiring proof of vaccination, but it's the airline that's on the front line of enforcement. Think back to the last time that you flew internationally. You were required to have a passport just to get into the country. But the first people who were checking to make sure that your passport was not only valid, but that it wasn't about to expire or anything like that was the airline. It was somebody at the airport working for the airline, because they're the ones responsible for flying you home if you're not allowed in the country. So they're likely to be the ones enforcing this. And the reason why I mention that is that I don't think you're likely to see requirements from airlines to have proof of vaccination for domestic travel. Even right now, during the height of the pandemic, you can get on an airline tomorrow without having to show proof of negative test or anything along those lines. And so I doubt that you will see a materially more strict requirement for domestic travel going forward. But for international travel, which is right now largely off limits, the best way to open it up is to have to show proof of vaccination. And you'll start to see that with these vaccination passports.
I guess my next question then, Scott, is how do you go about getting these vaccination passports? What would the process be?
Yeah, I think there's two possibilities here. First is analog and the second is digital. You mentioned that yellow card. This is actually a medical passport that's given out by the WHO that shows that you've been vaccinated against yellow fever or cholera, that some nations around the world require you in order to get in. You might see something similar with COVID-19. If you right now, when you get a vaccination in the US, you're given a small little white card that shows that you've been vaccinated. It's possible that that will be sufficient to show, if you want to travel to the EU or Australia or Japan or somewhere else, that will be enough. But another possibility, you also mentioned the IATA, and there are others like Common Pass that are requiring digital solutions. And so the way this would work is you get vaccinated, and then you can essentially upload your proof of vaccination to one of these apps, which then generates a QR code. And so when you get to immigration in France or in Japan or in India, you can just show them the QR code, and it shows that, yes, you've been vaccinated, or yes, you've had a recent negative test, and that is sufficient to be able to get in.
What are you expecting for the air travel industry over the coming months, in the next coming months? Again, I keep saying post-pandemic world, which hopefully will be in a few months. What do you expect?
I think it's going to be a tough few months. I mean, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, which is fortunate to be able to say now, which I don't think we could have necessarily said with as much certainty a few months ago. Remember, the airlines just got a few $1 billion in the recent relief package, which will help them over the winter months to come. But one thing that I think gets overlooked that's going to benefit the airline industry is the fact that there's lag time in people's purchase. You know, most people purchase their flights months before they actually travel. And so even though the travel numbers are probably going to be pretty low this winter, I think the airline's cash position might be able to improve significantly if summer bookings start to really increase. And, you know, I went back and looked right before this segment. In the past week, Kayak reported the most number of flight searches since the pandemic began. People are searching for these summer bookings. They're making their plans now. And I think you're going to start to see airlines' financial positions start to improve as people make those future bookings for 2021.
Scott, I have about a minute left with you. I do want to ask you about this, though. As the U.S. is slowly vaccinating Americans, do you think air travel will rebound in 2021? Or because of the slow process that we're seeing with vaccinations, do you think the majority of air travel will be pushed to 2022?
I'm going to give you a big yes and here. You know, there are dire warnings that it's not going to be until 2023 or 2024 till the industry recovers. But you have to remember, airlines have two pools of customers: business travelers and leisure travelers. Business travelers are highly profitable, and, you know, with offices shut down for a while, it might take years for that to recover. But for leisure travelers, we're going to get back on those planes as soon as we're vaccinated. And what do airlines do to try to win back leisure travelers? They cut the fares. They slash the prices. And that's why I think 2021 is going to be one of the best years on record for cheap flights.
Scott, before I let you go, I do want to say this. My husband is obviously watching the show. He just texted me this. We got our last flights to Europe, Grenada, and St. Martin, thanks to Scott's cheap flights. So I just wanted to mention that again. We are huge fans. Of course, of course. Scott Keys, founder of Scott's Cheap Flights. Thank you again, sir. And Happy New Year.
Okay, and so that was from Cheddar. All right, so I appreciate them for that. You guys can look that up and see it's at cheddar.com. All right, so super duper. But let's talk about this, because this is not just the end of it. Remember what month this was. That was December. Now, what is bugging me? What's in my what's in your craw today, Felicia? Now what's bugging you? What's the issue today? Everything is good. You're trying to be negative. I ain't being negative. Look here. If you don't understand that it's starting in the air and it's going to end up in the ground, I don't know what to tell you, baby, because this right here tells you that they have done this now. This is Delta as of right now. This is what's going on right now. Do you see that? These are the COVID-19 safety measures. So you've got Delta Airlines, mask required, check. Health screening and or waiver. The airline requires a health certificate or health documentation declaration to allow travel. Such documentation may include, but is not limited to, a signed waiver, signing a waiver upon check-in, or a full COVID-19 test. So now I'm going to go and trust any health information to some Yahoo that can't even get my seat correct, right? You cannot even put me where I said I was going to sit. You can't even put me where I checked off on my own online, looked at the seat, and I checked that seat. I want that bullhead seat. I want that one right there where I got some more leg room. You can't even get me off the window between two other chicks that's my size, suffocating me. with my own breastises up against the window. Because now you got me hemmed in. And if I got to get to the potty really quickly, I can't get out. But you cannot get me my own seat. I'm going to trust a Yahoo that cannot even make sure that where I check that I want to sit, I can't do that. You want me to tell you that I have X, Y, or Z, or that I've done this or that I've given you this documentation to prove just to go across a nation that belonged to me? We have gotten to the point now where all of these organizations and all of these private sectors are literally the government now. And it has happened because of lobbying after lobbying after lobbying after lobbyist after lobbyist after person, people being paid and paid and paid and paid and paid. I say cancel the lot of them. Cancel the lot of them. Cancel everybody. Everybody is fired. Everybody gets a pink slip. Everybody in Washington, pink slip, pink slip. You get a 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 pink slip. I don't like you. I definitely don't like you. Y'all both got pink slips. Everybody out. Go out. Rachel Van Zyl, Secretary of State. Anarchy Television, you the Secretary of Interior. Wake Up Call Gaming. You know what? I think I need you to take care of all of our military. You're gonna handle it. I'm gonna make you a general. All right. You got a whole bunch of stars now. I just gave you a promotion. All right. Everybody, y'all, let's take it over. It's ours. Let's take it over. Who out here got a company where all you do is mow lawns? You got a landscaping company? Okay, you got the contract. It's yours. Go. Hire whoever else you want to hire. Everybody, come on, let's go. We're going to do this thing the right way. We're going to give it back to the people that it belongs to. I'm done. It's to the point now where we don't know who's leading this place. We're not. And it doesn't matter what party you belong to. You could be Greenpeace. You could be Libertarian. I don't care who you are. If you got the semblance of any common sense, come on. Because everybody up there needs to be fired from the top down to the bottom. From the top to the bottom. This is getting out of hand. In a minute, you ain't going to be able to go across state line in your vehicle because they started in the air and they're going to end up on the ground. I guarantee you. So if you're not where you from, you better get there. If you don't have documentation showing that you're from that particular state, you better get there. And you better get your documents in order. I'm telling y'all what I see. This right here is that. For everybody who wants to say, well, I know that they talk about the mark of the beast and this, but this isn't really it because, look at the Bible. It says that they're going to force you to do X, Y, or Z, and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. And that's what they say is going to happen. No, dear. If someone were to cajole you to take a bowl of poop and say that it's supper, would you take it? No. Take that same bowl, break it down. Break it all the way down to its least common denominator. Mix it in little by little with what you normally eat. And guess what? You will have consumed the entire bowl. That part. Wow. And B says, notice how they never bring out the thousands who have already succumbed. Yeah. Notice that. Look at what's on the screen. You read that for yourself. Yeah. She's absolutely right. Ozamal, it's good to see you. The people pushing it remind me of those. Yes, that's exactly what they are. You remember, I told you guys back in the day in California, that's how they did with those folks over there when they brought that stuff into California. People sitting there minding their own friggin' business and would not have ever had any idea about any of the stuff that they brought into California. They brought it in there. They had them cats that were selling regular stuff, stuff that's illegal, but legal there now. Isn't that amazing? They got rid of Freeway Ricky Ross back in the day. Homeboy was thrown away. But he didn't start selling that big stuff. That boy was selling, nickel bag here, nickel bag there. Now you get it, going down there to a dispensary, take your card and get what you need. But that boy, they got him for something that he didn't even really know about. They started that, gave it to him to sell it, then threw him in, then got him out later. But he started out with a little bit. Here, take this free. Take that free. Take this free. Take that free. If you guys have not seen a movie with, what's the guy's name? He used to play on Living Color. The boy who used to play on Living Color. What's his name, Armand? The black cat that used to dress up like Wanda on Living Color. Huh? No. Wanda. That's not who? No, Jamie Foxx. 'Foxx. 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 I want to say Netflix, and it's called Project Power. See that and understand exactly what I'm talking about. If y'all ain't seen Project Power, if this ain't Project Power, I don't know what it is. And that here, I'm going to give it to you for free. Then after I give it to you for free, to Alice's point, now you're going to want and you'll do anything to get it. So now we're going to let you think this is your idea to actually just, give us your information. Forget what HIPAA used to stand for, because it doesn't anymore. Because now any Yahoo can read your personal information. And then after you get caught on it, now all of a sudden you're going to need it, because now a little bit of freedom, you're going to just keep running behind the 8 ball to get the freedom. Freedom going to be, you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, you want more freedom? Okay, we'll give you a little bit more. Dude, it ain't yours to give me, because whom the Son has set free is free indeed. I am free because of the redemptive power of the blood. What you mean you're going to let me have a little more normal? I am only subject to Yah. That's it. But if we keep taking it, you're going to have reason to go across, just to drive across the line. Okay? Absolutely, Mars Fool's Gold, because that's the reason. That right there, Mars Fool's Gold, is the reason why ain't nobody got to wear one no more, because they got enough of them to pass it on. Pass the Dutchie on the left-hand side. They're going to be passing the Dutchie on the left-hand side. Everybody going to be passing it. And you're going to be wondering why I don't feel so good today. Well, who did you just say hello to? Who were you standing next to? Be nice to everybody who doesn't have on one, you guys. Remember, we're all in this together, he said. Don't worry, if they're not wearing one, don't make them feel bad. Come on, you guys. Just stand a little close to them so they can catch everything that your immune system is tossing off. Because now, like a cortex that's added in bleach to blow it up from black to blonde, you're going to be tossing off everything, because you're going to absorb everything, and there's not going to be anything to stop it, because it's wide open. It's all the way live. It's all the way open. It's all the way up. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. That's exactly what it's going to be. You're going to be all the way up. Nothing going to be able to stop you. Stand as close to the person that doesn't have, who hasn't had this thing as you possibly can. Stand as close to them as you can. No more social distancing. That's not necessary. We've got enough people that are vaccinated now. You don't have to do that, and if you've been fully vaccinated, that is a good thing. It's a good thing that you've been fully vaccinated. Congratulations to each and every one of you who've been fully vaccinated. You don't need a mask on in public anymore. They say go on out there and, do what you got to do in public and in indoor settings. You don't have to wear a mask. Just breathe on the people standing near you that have not. Yeah, that part. And B, use cold words. That's right. Yeah. Ha. Yeah. That's right. Disclosing your personal health information. Okay. To the guy who's rubbing down. Okay. All right. Absolutely. Awesome, Alice. Good to see you too. I just asked about you, girl. I had to send out what is that, you guys? We had to send out a where's Awesome Alice, an APB. Where is Awesome Alice? We had to send it out for you, girl. I was like, where is she? You tell her I said, hey, if y'all see her someplace. Super tired of this hogwash. Control is the game. Yes. Mm-hmm. Very, 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 very true. Shalom. Nah, player. I ain't getting involved in that up there. Y'all won't see them putting me outside nowhere. Hanging me upside down. My name ain't Peter. They ain't gonna be hanging me upside down. Oops, Rachel. Oh yeah, it's okay. It's all right. It's going to be private afterwards. So if ain't nobody seen it, I don't know what to say. And you know what the thing about it is that I'm having to make a lot of them that way, either make them for the members or make them private because, I can't afford to hit. I can't afford to keep making them all private either because I ain't going to get no money. But who cares? Because truth is truth. You won't get paid, but who cares? Truth is truth. Truth is truth, and it must be said. Yes. because we've got to look at exactly what is going on around us. Because if we don't, and we keep getting distracted with fights and arguments that have always existed, fights and arguments that will be neutralized possibly very soon, or it could go the other way. Okay. But I think somebody's going to jump into it and just stop it. I do, because, they would have already gotten past the big, they have to have a big distraction or get you off the case. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. See what I'm saying? That's exactly what's up. Hey, Angela, good to see you. I'm glad to see you. I am interceding for your family as per your request. And we just have to stand for each other and with one another. Okay. All right. Glad to see you. I watched Solvent Green. It actually took place in 2022. You mean Soylent Green? Soylent Green is what you're talking about, where he says, the scoops, it's the scoops coming. Poor Charlton Heston, that poor guy, he got all of those shows back in the day that were the shows that were the end time. He had all the apocalyptic shows. Charlton Heston did. I loved it, all of his stuff. He was even in the Planet of the Apes. Wasn't he I think he was the astronaut in the Planet of the Apes. As a matter of fact, I know he was. Yeah, I used to love Charlton Heston. He was always in the throes of something. Okay? Exactly, Marty. Exactly, Marty Lauderdale. Exactly. But yeah, Soylent Green. That was a really good one. They're not eating. They're eating people. Tell them, get it to them. Tell them, Jim. Tell them. At the end, man, I'm telling you. Another good oldie but goodie was the movie that was Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Please watch that and watch it again. Now that I've told you about Invasion of the Body Snatchers, make sure you watch it. Make sure you watch it. Yes, sir. No one will buy, fly, go to the movies, eat at a restaurant, or sell work without it. Come on now. Come on now, tap line. Okay? Shampipple. Remember Shampipple? It was Champagne and Ripple. That's what your thumbnail is, Shampipple. Wait, let me go back to you. Let me go back over here and stop for a moment. That does say Shampipple. Is that the Shampipple from Red Fox? Is that the one from Sanford and Son? Hey, guess me, I'll have some Shampipple. What is Shampipple? Shampipple is champagne and Ripple. Mix the two together. Everybody say, what is Ripple? Ripple was real. Ripple was real. It was sold in a dark green bottle in California. I don't know where else it may have been sold, but it had a dark green bottle, and it was a cut bottle that Fred Sanford used to make jokes about. He used to always make a joke about a city called El Segundo. Of course, you guys know that's a real place too. Yes. Yes. Shampipple. You better go ahead on. That is hilarious. Don't stand so close to me. Yep. Please don't stand so close to me. I used to love that part when Sting sang that part all the way in the background. Yep, Angela, you're absolutely right. Now we're going to need to wear one when we make ourselves. Okay? That's, Yes, it will be a hit now, Oz Malice, but let me tell you something. That is the song that I utilized when I did a video, because listen, they were already telling us that this was coming, and they did it very subtly. There were old movies that I looked at where they'll have like one character now with one on in the background because they were putting that subliminally in your mind. But yes, it's been programmed. I don't even know if I can find that video, even if it's still around that I did. But yeah, I think it's about a 3-minute one. I think I should pull that out just in solidarity, just for you, just because you said it, just because you mentioned it. Yes, I think I should. Yes, I think I should. Let me see what we got here. Let me see what we got. I think we can safely say that we do have one video here with it. There it is. I'm going to pause it for you. I hope that it can be seen. I don't know if it can or cannot. Wait a minute. Is that the one? Wait a minute. Yeah, it is. Is this it? Hold on. Let me listen. No, that's not it. I don't want you to see that one. But I think we got rid of it because they attacked it. No, it's this one, isn't it? Oh, this is it right here. Yes. And I need to change the thumbnail on it so that everybody else can see it. All right, so let's go with it. Let's go with it. This is the one right here. It's an oldie but goodie. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, get your popcorn out. This is called Grin and Bear It. This says, excerpt of Earl Nightingale's The Strangest Secret. Quote, "Doctor, what's wrong with men today?" The great doctor was silent a moment, and then he said, quote, "Men simply don't think." Albert Schweitzer, a doctor and a Nobel Prize winner, said. Let's go. You've been programmed. Predictive programming has been used as early as 2014 for wearing a mask, doing general things, going to award shows, walking down the catwalk in a fashion show. You have been programmed. And now, when you are required to wear a mask, it seems like second nature to you. And yet you don't know it. You don't even know why. Why does it feel so natural for you to grab a mask and walk around with it? I'll tell you why. Because they let you know a long time ago exactly what was coming. And one way or another, you have already been programmed to put it on, wear it, grin, and bear it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are approaching 51 minutes and 45 seconds together in our party. I want to thank each and every one of you guys. What Mars Fool's Go has on the screen right there. You absolutely right. Yep. Yep. And you know, the part that really bothers me is that even though you may be telling individuals this now, it's like, well, what happened? Why is this sticking to my arm? Well, what happened now? I ain't got nothing to say to nobody no more. I'm so done. Now you got people who knew they shouldn't have done something talking about, oh, I don't feel so good. Oh, really? Dodo, you don't feel good? You don't? What do you feel like? I don't know. It's sort of unexplainable. I ain't never felt like this before. Really? Uh-huh. You don't? Mm-hmm. You don't know why you feel this way? Yeah. Yeah. Been starting my garden and reading books and put in a pool with the kids busy as a bee. Very good. Well, I'm glad to see that you're with us today. We have missed you. She's either fishing or showing her son how to change the oil. Okay, Angela, regarding that song, don't stand so close to me. And if you guys want to vote for a ruler to rule over you and everyone else, vote for me. I will be the best overlord you ever had. Trust me, I'm qualified. That was from Anarchy Television. Good afternoon, Marty and Mr. Leslie from Rachel Van Ziel Perspective Strategies. If store associates begin asking for proof, turn it around on them and ask them the most intimate, embarrassing medical question they can think of and ask it loudly for all to hear. I like it. I like that one. That's a good one. That's a really good one. You know what? I asked a guy, I said to this guy, and I said, hey, when did you start practicing medicine? I don't practice medicine. I said, okay, then get out of my face. If you're not practicing medicine, I'm going to go get somebody and let them know that you are right now trying to tell me X, Y, or Z. But I think that one is really a good one. Perspective strategies. Just get in there and say, hey, you know what? Who you been with? How many you been with? How many men's? And if it's a man, how many women's? Don't forget to add the S on that plural word already, because that just adds a little to it. I just watched it again. Whole new meaning. The body snatchers. Yes, it does, right? Yes, it does. You got to understand it. You've got to understand it does. Okay. And Fapple was ripple gone flat. Flapple. When these things become reality, it's time to question reality. Remember, when the blanks were the blank and now wonder how many still in the place because of that site. And now, you know what? The real funny thing is you're absolutely right. Oh, it looks like I'm spinning and I don't know why. Okay. Am I spinning out there with you guys? Cripple was the drink on Sanford and Son. Sabari and Ripple. It was, that must have been another one because I tell you what, and it could have been because there were a lot of different things. He was so funny and so comical. Mr. Red Fox was just hilarious. Thanks for truth. Hello, Maria Delgado. How are you? Good afternoon at Maria. Yes. Okay. Awesome. Previous video there. Well, yeah, and it's an oldie, and we've got a couple of other ones. We've been talking about how closely related to slavery all of this stuff is, and that my interpretation or my feeling is that it was tried as a test pilot many years ago, and this is just so now look, you only had X amount back then, right? But now you've got a whole bunch more. And back in antebellum times is what they used. Warning, warning. They were sent out with with documentation. Some didn't want to listen. Exactly. Yeah. Yep. The cult classic movie called Videodrome is a good one. Oh, I'm going to have to check that out. I don't know where I can find that, but I'm going to check it if I can find it on Prime. Now, you guys know what? Start demanding proof that they don't have that. Oh, Mr. Leslie, you crazy. You are out of here. That is hilarious. Because you know what? I mean, it's like, ma'am, I'm sorry. I don't want you. Please just leave my fruit in the bag. You don't have to weigh it. You don't have to see the number here. I'll read the number for you and you can just key that in the computer there. That's all you need. Just take the number. Don't touch my fruits and vegetables in case you have the latter of that sentence that Mr. Leslie's put up there. Okay. That's right. That dodo thing made me laugh out loud. You understand. You see what I'm saying? Thank you, baby. You as well, Marty Lauderdale. Okay, I just walk around with my headphones and act deaf. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes it works. Sometimes it don't because I did that in the store and a lady tapped me on my shoulder and I was like, oh, do you need a mask? I said, oh, okay, thank you. She went and grabbed me one. I said, thank you, baby, and stuck it in my pocket and kept on shopping. Let's see. We're going to show you one more last video before we go because you guys made a good comment, and that was that you had not seen a lot of these, and there were a lot that we had done, but I'd like to bring it back up and bring it to the forefront of your remembrance so that you will remember different things. And this one right here is the one that you could remember. And it does go along with what I just got through talking about with it being, it started on one group of individuals and then later it became something that, excuse me, it became something that everybody is going to have to deal with. And after that, we're going to go ahead and close it on down after we see this one. Here we go. Could she be you, Anastasia? Could she be you? Could she? Could it be you? Could it be you? Could it be? Let's check it out. In antebellum times, this was a way that the slave master would subdue their slaves and prevent them from speaking, from eating, and since they considered us less than human and animals, biting. This was the way that they would actually carry them to the auction block. They would muzzle them and they would prevent them from being able to do anything. They would chain their hands and feet, carry them away around these long chains around the neck. And it was a way that they had control, just like you would an animal or a dog. Well, somewhere along the line, somebody thought that it would be fashionable to put it on the runways and let white folks sport up and down the runway wearing the dress of one of the more famous slaves because of her blue eyes and dark skin, undoubtedly someone from Simon's Island. But nonetheless, America has been desensitized because if you remember, I made a video a few months ago regarding the desensitization of folks with masks on as far back as 2014 and possibly earlier than that. Well, if you look very closely, you will see that some of the devices that were used were not only put around the mouth, but around the whole entire head, as well as the shoulders to keep the body in check. And yet they used stars to help propagate this garbage. I think that last month was the time where we found FBI, police officers, everyday average white folk bending down and taking a knee to the whole entire situation with George Floyd, and no one seemed to correlate that with this guy. the same exact situation, a knee. If you don't see the correlation between all of this, then it would appear that wearing the latter, the mask, is going to be what's going to happen to you forever unless you stand up and do something to help yourself. I found myself calling our governor here in Alabama the other day, letting them know that, hey, if you plan on trying to make this thing something permanent, you better think twice because we're not having it. You need to speak up in any way you can, any way that's legal, any way that's healthy, but a way that's going to get your voice heard. I made it up in my mind that I was going to make a daily call, and maybe they'll get sick of me, or maybe they'll figure that if you count one person's vote, that might speak volumes. Perhaps there are thousands of people who feel just the same way this woman does, and maybe, just maybe, it will prevent us from not holding our seats in the future. Hit him in the pocket where the money goes, and you just might get some responses. You don't have a long time. You've got a very short window to get on top of this before this stays on top of you. Please like, share, and subscribe. This is Felicia Lockhart, and this has been the Lockhart Perspective. All right, so I have a correction. It's actually Solomon Island, you guys. It's not Simon's Island. Like I said in the video, it's actually Solomon Island. And in Solomon Island, they have the blonde hair, the blue eyes. They're a beautiful group of people, and it's Solomon Island. Just for the correction. Let me show you what I mean by that. And I said that she was beautiful and that she was undoubtedly from Simon's Island. It's Solomon, not Simon. Here they are right here. This is those folks. Okay. See that little baby right there? All of these little babies. Yeah. Yep. That's the people. So they have, some of them are blonde hair and naturally greenish and blue eyes, like this baby right here. But the hair comes out of their head this color. All right. It gets this color as time goes on. It starts out that color and then it ends up being that color. And that is Solomon Island. Now, the funny thing, look at that little baby, but that's them. Okay. And that was the slave, Anastasia. Okay. So she was more than likely from Solomon Island. All right. So that's just for clarification and for correction. All right. Just so that you guys now have a viewpoint. You can look up Solomon Island. You'll find out a lot of stuff. Melanesia, I think is what it's called. And you know, again, I don't understand it all. I'm not medical, and I'm not going to tell you to follow the science. All I'm going to tell you is just go ahead and look it up. All right, folks, we're about to get out of here. We're at 1 hour, and boy, time went by fun. You guys are off the chain. Y'all are the best. I love you so very much. Anarchy Television gave me some hearts and love. I love those hearts. Yep. Proves the way people look at colors of people and how it has been changed. Yep. Have you seen the red hair black people? I got some of those in my family, red hair black folks. Sure do. Had a guy in the military that was dark skinned and one blue eye and one green eye. Yep. Yep. Thank you, Felicia. You blow me away as always. And so do you. You are the business. Jamie Foxx, that's exactly who I was talking about. Have you seen that FTWL? Have you seen that movie? That movie is very, very good. And again, the movie is called Project Power. We were referencing, so when you see that movie, we were specifically using that in reference to give it away for free. And then after you give it away for free, they're stuck on it. That's how we give it, make them think it's their idea because they want it, and then they'll be stuck on it. Notice how a lot of that stuff, FTWL, starts there in Louisiana. There is something to Louisiana. I want you guys, and you know what, Rachel Van Zyl, sister girl, I need to tell you the business. You pulling up all kinds of stuff that I've already known, but can't really share a lot of that stuff. I sent you a response email to what you sent us in the mailbag today. Any excuse to use the button. But I sent you a response today to one of the things that you sent. And yes, that is a very, excuse me, well-known thing. It's very well known. But here's the funny piece, because the story that they want to tell you is one thing, right? There were, how can you go and send out minimal amount of people to go and collect a maximum amount of people? You can't, but you can send an overwhelming amount of people out to go find a minimal, right? Because there would be no chase if it was the reverse. So they would give a bounty to the individuals regarding the email that you sent. They would give a bounty and say, okay, this person ran away, go catch him. All right. Yes. Yes. So we're going to get really deep into that topic. Yeah. And then there's another topic I want you guys to see, a movie that if you guys have not already seen it, before we close, I want everybody, if you've not already seen them, I want you to watch it because I'm going to cover it. I've got a few notes here in my favorites tab of things that I'm compiling so that we can talk about the movie Them. I think it's important for us to all know as much about one another as we possibly can, because can't nobody use nothing against you about me and vice versa. If I know you, can't nobody use nothing against me. If I know you're not my enemy, can't nobody use nothing against me or you with me. Can't nobody come and tell me a lie about you if I know you. So we need to know everything that each other knows. And Rachel, that the research that you have been sending, the stuff that you've been sending, I appreciate you. It tells me that you really are, you're thirst. Listen, the blatant, true, unadulterated thirst for knowledge will definitely yield something. If you have a true and unadulterated, pure thirst for knowledge and you don't mind what the outcome is, you straight. Because in order for me to learn about you, I got to throw down all of my rocks. I got to take all inhibitions, everything I think I knew, everything I thought I knew. I got to throw that all away. And I have to be willing to start at zero when it comes to you. And if I'm willing to start at zero, everything that I add to the game that I have learned on my own is bond. I mean, it's just like my word, it's bond. It's pure. It's good stuff, right? Because nobody can tell me nothing about you because I know you now. Conversely, if I get to know somebody and I find out when we started at zero that their substance is garbage, I can't kick it with you. It's the reason why I don't deal with certain people right now. There are certain people in my personal life, certain people in my professional life. You don't see them no more. I don't deal with them no more, because once I find out something that's at a level that there is no point of return, I turn you over to Yah and let him deal with you. And I continue to intercede for you, continue to love you, but I do that from afar. But if somebody comes to you and tells you something about somebody that you know, you ain't going to believe it. Why? Because you know their character. You know their character. And that's how we've got to be, because what they've tried to do is try to tell me that you're my enemy, try to tell me that I'm your enemy. I know who I am. I know who I am, and I will not apologize for being who I am. I know who I am. But you need to know me. Okay? All right, y'all. I love each and every one of you guys. Thanks again for being here. This is Felicia Lockhart, and I want you guys to remember one thing that we always say here on this channel, and that is that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High Yah. Thanks again. And thank you guys for everyone who has been sending in donations. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. I appreciate you all. You all have no idea how much that blesses me. You just don't know. And when you think somebody sends a message, and it's just $5, honey, let me tell you something. God bless that $5 because it goes so far, because you gave it out of what you had to give, and he breathes on it and he adds to it, and it's a blessing. So please do not apologize for just sending $5. I love you no matter what you send me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, you guys, y'all be good. Take care of yourselves and remember to take care of one another. Okay. We'll see each other soon.
I've always been a unique person, you know what I mean? Sort of laid back in a way, but very adamant and very passionate about what I believe. I think a lot of times that sort of throws people off because they don't expect me to have the mindset or the process of thought that I do. And so when you come in to watch my channel, you may hear a myriad of thoughts and ideas that could be different from others. What I want you to do is just sit back, like, share, and subscribe.
To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Lockhart perspective. Helping you